Hello, my friends. Cindee Williams, and I am your host today for the 52 Coffees podcast. And you know what? I am just so thankful that you are here today. I'm thankful to be able to sit and talk with you. Many weeks we have on extraordinary women who are just doing remarkable things in their lives. Other times, I like to just talk with you one on one and give you some tips and tools on how you can go out and live your most exceptional life, how you can take steps to advance every day, how you can go out and really achieve the life of your dreams. It's all possible. And we're going to talk more about that today. But first, I want you to know that 52 Coffees podcast is sponsored by Lead My Life, which is a dynamic community and coaching platform for women who are just really ready to go out and unlock the life of their dreams. Many of the women in Lead My Life are empty nesters or coming at the second half of their life, and they're just ready for more. If that sounds like you, and you want a supporting community, if you're looking for connection, coaching, and change, come take a look at leadmylife.com, and we would love to have you join us. But today, let's focus in on you. I've been reading a lot lately about our stay-at-home moms, about our empty nest moms, about those of us, those women who maybe have taken a long absence from the workforce and we're ready to dive back in. We want to put our hat in the ring. And I don't know about you, but that was my story. I started off as a teacher in the 90s. I loved being a teacher. I became a mentor teacher for the upper elementary school. Loved doing that. I started speaking and doing seminars. And then we made the decision, my husband and I, that I would stay home. 7 years took us to get pregnant, and we finally did. I was like, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And it was a very conscious decision to do that. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. And those of you who have had the opportunity to be stay-at-home moms, I'm sure that you could agree with me. It is not I left the workforce. It was the hardest job I ever had. But there comes a time when you want to re-enter, maybe so, for many, many women. And it's hard. It's tough. You know, maybe the kids are in middle school and you're ready to enter back in. Maybe there's financial constraints, or maybe you're just wanting to know, what do I have? Maybe you kind of bundled up your dreams and you put them to the wayside and you're ready to get back in. Well, I'm here to tell you today that if that is you, if you are wanting to re-enter the workforce, that 90% of women who, whether they're, in their 30s, 40s, or like me in their 50s and wanting to enter back in, that it's tough. It's tough. And it is a challenge to get back in, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. You most certainly can. And I am here to tell you that if you decided to take a year of your life and really dedicate yourself to what you need to do to create the plan and start living your life by design, you can be highly successful. In fact, go Google all the women who have been highly successful after midlife. It is incredible. Some of the greats, like Martha Stewart, is a great example of a woman who just like took off after midlife. There's so many examples. But today, let's talk about the design. We're going to talk about John Maxwell's, his law of design and his 15 invaluable laws of growth. It's what I teach by as a Maxwell coach. This month in July is our law of design month. It's our halfway mark through the year. And if you've kind of been like, you know what, January through July, I just didn't get done what I thought I would, I want to ask you today, do you have a plan in place? Are you living life by design, or is it just kind of more haphazard that you come at it, every day, just go, okay, this is what I'm going to do today. And you just get through your days and you're just surviving. You have no strategy in place. Jim Rohn, I love Jim Rohn. He said this: if you don't design your own life, your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what? They may not have much planned for you. I love that quote because that's so true. If we don't come up with a plan for our life, if we don't have some kind of a design, then we're going to fall into what everybody else wants us to do, right? What our parents wanted us to do when we were in college, maybe what our mom and our friends and our husbands, what the plans that they have for us to do. I know when I was a stay-at-home mom, I was behind the scenes helping my husband in his business. I was behind the scenes helping my parents in their business. I was behind the scenes helping my in-laws in their business. Everybody had a plan for me, but it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what my gifts were. And I was so excited when I turned 50 to go, okay, now's my time. And maybe that's you. So how can we live life by design, not leave it up to happenstance? First rule, first thing is life is simple. Do you believe that? Life is simple, but keeping it that way is complicated. I believe that we can live with simplicity of heart, and that's what we should be striving for. But I know in coaching, a lot of times the women that come to me, their life is chaos. They've got all this stuff going on around them and they have no control. They've lost control. They don't have a design. They don't have a plan for their life. And so the very first thing that we need to do is start bringing all that chaos into order, right? Our God is a God of order. And so when we have chaos around us, we can't rest. We feel overwhelmed. We feel, chaotic in our spirits. We don't feel right. We're not operating right. We're exhausted. It's because we need to take what's complicated and make it simple. And then we have to fight to keep it that way. How do you do that? How do you keep life simple? It comes with planning. You have to have a plan. You have to decide, what do you want in life, and have a plan that is structured around that. Because if you don't have a plan, then you're just going to accept everything that comes at you, and that simplicity will be gone and your life will be complicated again. Having a plan means that you have a filter that you're able to push everything through and decide whether that's for you or whether that's not, whether you're going to accomplish that today or whether you're not. And it means that when you go to bed at night, you already know what's planned for the day tomorrow. You don't have to spend your time at night, women, this is so true, worrying about everything that you need to accomplish tomorrow because you already have a plan. You are living life by design. Does that mean that when you wake up in the morning, 50 things happen that were outside of your plan? Of course. Yes. Things are going to come at you all the time to throw you off your plan. But because you have that structure, because you've taken the time to create that structure, that simplicity in your life, you fight to keep out the complications. And it's your choice whether or not you want to allow that thing, that appointment, that meeting, that friend, that coffee date, whatever it is your choice whether or not you allow it to enter into your day. It all comes down to you. It all comes down to your choice and your plan. And I love the verse that says, commit your ways to the Lord and he will establish your steps. Because we do make plans. In the end, the Lord is in control of your life. He places you in charge of many things in your life, but he ultimately is in control. And don't you know, our God is a God of order, and he wants you to live a life that is orderly. So life is simple, but keeping it that way is complicated. You need to have a plan. Number two, think about this. Designing your life is more important than designing your career. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Reese Witherspoon is the one, she said that you need to spend more time designing your life than you do designing your career. Because when we design our life and we have a plan for our life, the career part will fall into place. And oftentimes, actually, we don't even sometimes give that much thought to our careers. We give more thought to where we're going on vacation and what the itinerary is going to be during that 2 weeks than we do having a plan for our finances, than we do having a plan for our health, than we do having a plan for our career and where we're going. Designing your life is more important than designing your career. At Lead My Life, we think about it as this, that your life is lived in a flow, that your faith is fully integrated into your work. And your work is whatever you do with your hands. It's your service. It could be, after 50, maybe you're like, well, I'm retired. I don't work outside the home. Well, maybe you want to start a nonprofit. Maybe you have volunteer work. Maybe your job is to just love on your grandbabies, to serve in your church, to serve in an organization. That's work. Have a plan surrounding that. Allow your faith to be integrated into everything that you do. And then all of that should live and flow with your life. And life is your family, it's your friends, your finances, it's your fitness and your fun. All of those should flow together, should be integrated together so that you have the healthiest version of you. Where do you start with that? Where do you just start with designing your life? Number one, find out where you are in your faith. Maybe you need to restore your faith. Maybe it needs to be reset. Maybe it needs to be rediscovered or discovered for the first time. It comes down to who am I? And getting closure, getting some answers to that. What do you believe? What is the foundation? That's like laying the bricks down of your life. And you've got to do that first. So you have to settle that question of who am I first and foremost before you can even start thinking about designing any other element of your life. And I think the next layer would be your health. You have to come to terms with your health. I don't know, the last year, we've had to spend a lot of time in the hospital. Todd just, he got injured several times on the bike and we were in and out of the hospital. He had something go on with his heart. And being in there and being 56 years old and he's 63 years old, it made me feel very thankful that we have taken the time, really our entire lives, and definitely my adult life, we've taken the time to develop healthy habits. That I don't want to spend the last half of my life wasting away in a hospital because of illness that I could have prevented if I would have started today taking control of my health. My body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. I was created to serve God. If I'm not taking control of my health, then I'm serving my addiction to food. I am serving my addiction to sugar, which I have had periods of times where I live there. I am serving food and unhealthy lifestyle instead of serving God. This body's meant for service. I can't serve God unless I am the healthiest, version of myself. That means that I need to design my life in such a way that I can be used, I can be in service, and that the outflow of that is my work. The outflow of that is my life. It starts with my faith. Number 3, life is not a dress rehearsal. I don't know. My daughter was in ballet all the way, from the time that she was little itty bitty, all the way through, really up until college. And we had a lot of productions that we went through. And there's always a dress rehearsal. Moms, do you remember those days? Maybe you had a daughter who was in drama, or a son, or dance, or whatever. And, the big dress rehearsal day. And you were allowed to make a lot of mistakes because the next day would be the final act, right? When it was for real. Well, guess what? Today is for real. Today is your real life. You don't get a dress rehearsal. I want you to think as time as money. What if you did? What if you thought of time as dollar bills? And every single minute that clicks by on the clock is a dollar bill going out the window. And you had to give an account for every single minute that clocked by in your life, just like you have to give an account in your bank account. Would you spend your time differently? Would you spend 60 minutes scrolling through Facebook and Instagram if it was just dollars going out the window? Would you give $60 to scroll through social media? Life is not a dress rehearsal, and time really is precious. Don't let it tick by. This is for real. This is your one chance to give it all you got, to leave nothing on the table, to use up the very last ounce, to get to the finish line, to cut the tape and say, I gave it all that I had, Lord. I didn't leave anything on the table. Life is not a dress rehearsal. Give it all you got. It's your final act, and it's your best show. Number 4, when planning, just multiply by 2. That's what John Maxwell says. A lot of times, we get these really great ideas and we're so excited about them. And then as we start planning it out and playing it out, it takes so much longer than what we thought it was going to take. And we get discouraged. Or maybe we're halfway in and we're like, does anybody even care? Is anybody even looking at this? Why am I doing this anyways? And it takes much longer than what we thought. Multiply it by 2. Know that if it was, you thought it would take a month, that it might take 2. That if you thought you could get this done in a day, that it might take 2. That if you thought you could get there in an hour, plan for 2. Give yourself some padding so that you can make sure you do your best work, that you can arrive on time, and that you don't get discouraged, and that you know that you're taking the steps, you're moving forward every day, and just give yourself that grace, knowing that when you're planning, just multiply by 2. Things always take a little bit longer than we thought they would, and just relax into it, do your best work, and then let it fly. Number 5 is when we are designing our lives, when we're living life by design, you need to develop strategies and you need to depend on systems. So develop strategies, but depend on systems. And a lot of times we think about in business, we have systems to make sure everything's operating efficiently. But our life, every aspect of our life, we have systems. And sometimes those systems aren't serving us. Let's look at the definition of a system. It's a process for achieving a goal based on specific, orderly, repeatable principles and practices. So it's this process that we've put in place for achieving a goal. And it's based on something that's specific, something that's orderly, something that's repeatable that you can do over and over again. Principles and practices. And it always leverages your time, your money, or your abilities, or all three of those together. And I can think of one example of a system that I have developed in my life, my husband and I both have, that has served us very well, is our morning routine. So a lot of times, like I said, we think of systems as in business, right? Our operating systems, but this is my life operating system. I watched my husband. We had a commercial cleaning company for 33 years, and I watched him get up at 2, 3 in the morning for decades and go out and work and check on employees and check on buildings. And he had a system for getting up in the morning. And this is what he would do. He would get up, he would make his coffee, he would go sit in his chair, he would read his Bible, spend time doing that, usually, anywhere from half an hour to an hour. And then he would get up and leave really, well, the rest of the world was asleep. He would leave to go do his work. That was his system. And it served him so well because it set his tone, it set his mindset for the entire day. He's much more calm than I. He has much more, everything is just even keel. He's my consistent, steady Eddie. And I watched him do that. And it wasn't until, I'm going to say 2018, I think really when we became empty nesters, that I started to join him. He used to just roll over. I knew he'd wake up and the light would be on, and I would, try to make do with his morning habit. But then I decided to join forces with him. And once you know it, during that time when I made that decision, I had been going through a long season of just, I don't know if I was clinically depressed, but just a season of just being in a long funk, of just not really knowing who I was and just being kind of frustrated with life and not feeling like I was living at my best, not having a plan, not having a design. And I would watch my husband get up and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to join him. So I did. And I started waking up every morning around 4 a.m. And I would get up. I never drank coffee before, so I don't know if it's a good habit to start, but I would make some coffee and I would get out my journal and I'd get out my Bible. And I have been doing that consistently now for 6 years, and it has changed my life. It is a system, a strategy that I developed to help me calm my anxiety down, to help give me purpose in life. And I take with it, it's repeatable, it's orderly. I take it with me wherever I go. When we're on vacation, just got back from Colorado for a month. We were camping and living by a river, in the middle of nowhere for over a month. Every morning, we'd get up very early, crack it on. We would make our coffee, even though it was cold outside, and we would sit by the river and we would journal and we would talk and we would read our Bibles. And it is a system that has allowed me to have so much purpose and really to identify my purpose in life. It has brought calm, it has brought order. That's just one system. One system. What kind of systems do you have for your health? Is your health out of whack? Are you overweight? I know that's one of the biggest complaints that I see in midlife is like, oh, my hormones are out of control. Oh, perimenopause, menopause, all the pauses. My life is out of control. Well, do you have a plan around your health? Do you have a plan around your eating? Most times we fall off what we're supposed to be eating because we get in a rush and we go through the drive-through because we don't have a plan in place. Or maybe we don't have a system around that. We don't have enough knowledge around what we should be eating and what is healthy and good for us. We think we know, but we haven't gathered the support that we need, the proper support of people who have gone before us, who have lost weight, who are living healthy lives. And so there's systems that we can develop around everything that we do that's meaningful in our lives, and develop strategies around that. So develop strategies and then depend on systems in your life. And that's how you get things done. So let's leave it at this. Are you an empty nest woman? Are you entering into maybe your 5th decade of life? Are you a stay-at-home mom who's ready to rejoin the workforce, to re-enter the workforce, and you're feeling discouraged, and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, the world has changed so much since the last time I was at work. When I left my teaching job in the 90s to have our kids, email wasn't even a thing. I mean, it was just starting to come around. And so when I came back 2018, there was a completely different world. I just felt like a fish out of water. I felt like a teenager who was learning how to use a cash register and count back change for the first time. And it just destroyed my self-confidence. I just felt this big. But I want you to know something, that you can upskill. You can learn, reskilling, get yourself up to par. You can take classes. You can develop a strong network of contacts. It is never too late to start building your network. And the network of people, you may have lost all of that by time out of the workforce. But when you re-enter, learning how to connect again, learning how to have conversations and communication is key. And you can do that. That's part of what we do in Lead My Life. You can learn about who you are. What do you have to offer? That, develop your own personal branding statement. You can learn those things. You can start with a part-time job or freelance. Update your skills, all of it. I think one of the main skills that us as women need to develop is our skills of negotiation, our skills of communication. Because if you think about it, in the working world, men, they're really good at the whole negotiation thing. They've been bantering back and forth since they were kids on the basketball court, being aggressive with each other. And as women, we naturally take a back seat, and it's a little bit more difficult for us to be assertive and have that confidence. But we can learn that skill. And I tell you, if you can master the skill of negotiation, if you can master the skill of communication, whatever you're going to do is going to take off. And I think as women, we have a natural ability to negotiate. We just need to recognize it. I tell you, if you're able to get a 5-year-old to eat broccolis, right? I used to say that, broccoli is trees and you're a dinosaur. That's negotiation. We can do that, ladies. We just need to recognize that we have that ability within us and be assertive and go out there and conquer the world, because we have a lot of skills that the world needs. Make a plan, but don't just sit with your plan. Make a plan and take action on it. One thing, I love to do is just sit there and learn and make a plan and make a plan and make a plan. And I'm planning, but am I doing? Am I actually accomplishing what I set out to do? Plan and then take action. And confidence, I'll leave with this. Confidence comes with preparation. The more you start to put these things into practice, the more you start to do it, the more confident you will become, the more you can square your shoulders off and hold your head up high and walk into a room and be the woman that God called you to be. Life is simple, but keeping that way is complicated, so have a plan. Number 2, design your life first before you just start designing your career or anything else. Design your life. Life is not a dress rehearsal. When planning, always multiply by 2, allow a little extra time, and then develop the strategies and depend on the systems. And my friend, this life in the second half, this life by design will take off for you. Gather the support, reach out to me and lead my life. I'd love to be a part of your journey forward in the second half of life. You take care, my friends, and I will talk to you next week on 52 Coffees. Take care. Bye.